evening and welcome to a special edition of Full Focus. I'm Karen Rostada. Tonight we focus on people with purpose. Each night volunteers and staff from the Storefront Shelter hit the streets searching for teens in trouble. And for kids who decide to take a trip to the shelter, it's the first step in creating a new life. Walking a mile in Oscar Arceniega's shoes would mean taking on a journey that's been filled with challenges and heartache, losing both parents as a child and struggling to survive on his own.
Well, the hardest thing is that I really got to know my dad. I was like 7, so I don't actually remember. When I try to picture, it's kind of hard. And then, the family fell apart when my mom passed away. She was the head of the family, so it was really hard. 3, 2, 1.
Born in San Diego, Oscar grew up in Mexico. After his parents died, he found himself living in an abusive environment with 2 older siblings. Tell me how your life has changed in the past year.
Actually, it's been the last 5 months. The summer was kind of rough in my house, so, I decided to leave and just come to the U.S. and look for help. I wasn't really thinking of running away, just looking for information, but I don't know,
How rough was it when you got here, with no place to live?
I felt really scared and nervous first, and then the police helped me out. Then I knew they took me to Storefront.
For the past 5 months, Oscar has been living at the Storefront, San Diego's only emergency shelter for homeless, abused, and runaway teens. Director Jan Stankus Nakano says, on any given day, there are nearly 2,000 kids living on the streets in San Diego. The Storefront offers counseling, a safe place to stay, and much more.
As much as teenagers like to push, they love to have the expectations that an adult can give them. Somebody to encourage them to go to school, somebody to respect what they're doing, somebody to recognize when they've excelled, somebody to give them opportunities to grow, to show them that there are other ways besides drugs without self-harming themselves.
Oscar is one of 20 youth living in the shelter. Some teens stay a day, others longer.
It's kind of hard because people come and go, and like one day they can stay for 1 day or for 2 days, and you won't see them again for a month, so it's kind of hard to make friends also. And it's kind of also a harsh environment sometimes. And I've had a lot of friends, and here actually I have a lot of friends with the staff members. They've been helping me a lot. Nikita especially, the art teacher, she's been great.
Anything that's got color on it, you're cutting off.
These are often people with no voice, and I think art is one of the strongest tools that we have to have a voice.
Nikita Palmasani uses art as therapy to help the teens cope.
Theater, dance, writing, visual arts, music. It's whatever media is going to be best for the client.
Palmasani says expressive art therapy encourages emotional healing through a creative process.
And then if you don't like it, you can go back in and recarve. Here in the Storefront, often the teens are in crisis situations or they're in the dire straits. And so by moving away from the problem and moving into the realm of the imaginal, into the imagination, right? Any image can come forward, and images almost always come for people's benefit.
For Oscar, who had never painted before, the art has ignited a new passion.
First I thought of art it's boring, I don't want to do it. But then when I got into painting, during those days I was really stressed with work, with my school work and everything, and my family. So I said, I'm going to try it out.
Now this one, it says, why is the sky blue? Dream, triumph over ordinary. This has got to be personal.
Yeah, in this one, I want to give a message, broaden your minds, open up your mind, think about something else, dream, give yourself the chance to look for something else.
The Expressive Art program gives these teens a respite from the serious issues they struggle with, issues that make them grow up fast.
Like up here I'm like 35, down here I'm like 16.
Justine Bethel says she started having problems after her parents divorced, and she fell in with a bad crowd.
Actually, I was at one point on the streets for a month straight, and that was when I got taken in a storefront.
What was that, like a month? How did you do that for a month?
I don't know. I can't even remember what was going on half the time because I was on something most of the time.
And you were how old?
I was 15. It was only a year ago.
Since being at the storefront, Justine has tapped into the artistic side she never knew she had.
It's like how it makes you feel, how much you put into it, how you can like take something that's in here and put it on there, and how people can also see it, like see what you're seeing.
And a tree on top? And a dog. And a dog? Yeah, exactly, like a dog, of course.
It's cool.
Palmasani says she's seen Justine blossom from a troubled teen into a creative young lady.
She was a very tough, gothic, very dark, very depressed when she came in, very sharp, like sharp glass, but incredibly artistic. And I remember specifically with Justine, the day that I told her, you could be an artist for a living. I hope that'll end up looking like a heart, though.
She's very supportive and very positive. She doesn't say, oh, that's ugly, oh, why don't you try doing this? She lets you do anything and bring it in any direction that you want with art.
Justine is no longer living on the streets and has been reunited with her mother.
I want them to know that I'm not just some little punk teenager that runs around in the streets doing drugs and drinking alcohol, that I'm a person and I feel really strong emotions and I've gone through a lot. And that just because I'm young doesn't mean I'm not as mature as anybody else.
And so art making not only as a vehicle to de-stress, but then also as a self-reflective. What is it that's manifesting in your artwork? Why, with Oscar specifically, when we worked with him, how come you manifest flowers over and over? What do flowers have to do with you?
They remember me also beside my parents, because it was something basic in my house. We had a rose bush, so it really remembers me of my parents and my family.
Oscar just turned 18, has a part-time job, is preparing to graduate from high school, and plans to study medicine in college.
If I can change one life at a time, I might not be fixing the entire program. Who knows in their social circle if they might say, hey, you're homeless, or I know this great place, go check out Nikita. The art really changed me.
Justine and Oscar can add professional artists to their resumes. The local gallery Mixture is donating gallery space so they can show their work.
It was weird because I was used to seeing it in my room hanging up, and it was in this fancy place with all these other pieces of art that I thought were like, oh, so better than mine, and there was mine right next to it, and it was just really weird.
It's a great difference from looking at it like on the table, and then you look at the wall and everyone's looking at it and asking, hey, what were you thinking at that moment? What was going through your life? It felt awesome.
And the local nonprofit Photocharity fully funds the Expressive Art program by selling donated guitars that are signed by celebrities like B.B. King, who recently signed 7 guitars. All the proceeds go to shelter programs.
After I decided to do something to make a difference with children, we looked at about 100 nonprofits that empowered youth to make better choices for themselves. During that, we realized that there were 2,000 kids that were homeless, under 18, living on the streets, and we came across with the Storefront Shelter because of the history that they've had in a community and how successful they've been with these homeless kids. One of the guitars will pay basically for most of the after-school program just on 1 or 2 of the guitar sales for the whole year. And that's pretty significant.
It's called the Concert of Hope, a stage filled with unlikely performers, homeless teens from the Storefront Emergency Shelter.
Because when I realized there were 2,000 kids that were homeless, living under bridges, living in ravines, living on hard cement floors. These are 12 to 17-year-old kids.
Invisible to most of us, these youngsters are wise beyond their years and just trying to find their way in the world.
To see them come alive, to help their self-esteem, to show their self-expression.
His fundraising organization is called Photocharity, initially selling autographed concert photos. Now they auction instruments signed by stars like Aretha Franklin and B.B. King.
I don't play, but I love the fact that many people that buy these guitars don't play either.
Jeffrey is one of many volunteers whose hearts have been touched by these teens. They've joined hands to support the Storefront Shelter.
He's a role model that if he, just an ordinary citizen, an ordinary guy, can make this much of a difference for so many, anybody can.
Jeffrey, for providing a life to kids who would otherwise be invisible, I'm very happy to present you with our 10 News Leadership Award. Congratulations. Through music, Jeffrey Sitkov found a way to raise much-needed funding for the Storefront Shelter and, more importantly, to help these teens find a brighter future.
And his passion for the cause of homelessness, particularly for the kids, is exemplary.
With leadership photographer Bruce Andres, Jeannie Cabot, 10 News.